My name is Shannon Anderson and I've been in the industry for about 15 years now, training for the last 6 years. And I am very, very passionate about this subject in particular. When I was working in childcare, I was the toddler queen. I was in the toddler room and loved it. So this is an area and age group that I really, really do adore and have an affinity with. Can I just see a show of hands? Who actually works in the toddler room at the moment? Okay, so about 50% of the room. Yeah. Who works in baby's room? Yep, great. Well, you know, they're becoming toddlers every day. And who works in the kindy room? Right, so you're having toddlers come into your room who are still learning some of the stuff it takes to be a big kindy kid. Right, so this is basically today is only a 45-minute session, which means it is a bit of an intro. I'm not going to be able to cover absolutely everything, but what I want to make sure is there's time for asking questions. And I also want to just talk to you mostly about development and what's going on in their little brains, so why they're doing what they're doing, and possibly by understanding that a little bit better, we can then, you know, work our magic in a way that helps them be able to process and sort out what's going on in the world around them. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it works today. Hey. Okay, so the pros and cons of the toddler years. I just wrote this up. It's only a short list, but I bet you guys can tell me more as well. So the pros are, they are just so darn cute. They are just these little cute little chubby-cheeked little walking babies. They're very, very cute. But they are at that frustrating time between babyhood and childhood. Half babies, half children, going back in between. They have naps. Yay. So if you work in early childhood, you know that means that if you work in the toddler room that you actually get, hopefully, usually, that good hour at least of quiet because they've all taken their nap. You don't often get that in the kindy room, and you don't often get that in the baby's room. So that's a special little treat for you toddler workers for working so hard when they are awake. But they have tantrums as well. Tantrums. They learn something new every day. Every day is a discovery. Every day is something exciting is happening. But there is biting and fighting and not sharing and all of that. They're very funny and they're full of energy. And they are usually very, very loving and affectionate at that age. But they're sometimes unable to be reasoned with, and you've got to deal with the toilet training as well. So there's some challenges and there's some pros as well, as we know, working in that age group. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today was about the brain development that's happening with our little toddlers. When I'm talking about toddlers, I'm talking about probably about 18 months to about 3 years old. So it's quite a broad range. As you know, an 18-month and a 3-year-old are poles apart in what they've learnt in their knowledge. So we're looking at, between those age groups, we're looking at all the development, all the learning that's happening. So during the first 3 years, a child's brain triples in weight and establishes about 1,000 trillion nerve connections. So that's pretty mental. Actually is mental. The brain is the only organ that when the child is born is the only organ that is not fully developed. So that continues to develop over time. So every other organ, your heart is fully developed, your liver is fully working, fully functioning, you know, your lungs are fully functioning, but the brain is still working its way. The brain processes information by forming networks of specialized nerve cells called neurons. I'm going to show you a picture in a second, and you'll have a picture there on your booklets anyway, which communicate with one another using electrical and chemical signals. These messages are the physical basis of learning and memory. Messages are passed between neurons at connections called synapses. So let's have a look. So you can see this is a synapse and it's making a connection. Sorry, the synapse is the connection. This is the cell, brain cell. So what's happening at an absolutely alarmingly fast rate is that all of these brain cells are sending out all of these little shoots and they're connecting to other brain cells, and it's making these pathways. It's almost like a superhighway that's getting built really, really, really fast. All of these connections are being made constantly. So they look out and they go, the sky, and someone says the sky is blue, and so there's a connection, the sky is blue. I've learnt something. So every time they learn, every time you respond or don't respond, or every time a consequence happens, or they fall over and they hurt themselves, it's a connection being made. Right, if I fall over, I will hurt myself. So it's constantly these connections are being made. So that's really interesting, because the babies, so in the first 3 years, it's growing 3 times the weight. The weight is actually the amount of synapses that have been connected. So you can see that it's just growing at this absolutely fast rate. But what happens is it actually is making an over amount of connections. So it's learning the sky is blue, but then their cheeky old brother says, no, it's green. Oh, the sky is blue and the sky is green. Then it's learning